YouTube. Yeah, I played the same guitar again. It's because it's my favourite one just now. But the VOX VT20 VT20 Plus, I have a shot of. Jen just bought a couple of these, and she also at the same time bought an Orange Crush to 35 watt orange amp, and I think our post was like, I can't believe how much better the VOX sound than the Orange Crush. So it was like, I quite like the orange, although I've got a black orange. Yes, so basically it's a modelling amp, so there's a lot of knobs and stuff on it, but I have found out there is a switch. If you hold down the button at the start, it puts it into a person who doesn't like modelling amps mode. So it's dead easy to use. I've just had it to bits. It's actually got a valve in it. It's got a preamp valve in it, but it's in the power amp. It's in it, but I mean it sounds pretty damn valve. I'm just going to cycle through some of the presets or something. If I just set it to, hold that button in there, bang, we're on to normal, and obviously the first thing you go to is VOX VT20 because that's what it looks like. And there's a wee button there which gives you 3 different variations before you start twiddling with the knobs. So I will have to do a proper demo of this once I've found out what it does, but I mean that's just me using the VOX VT20 thing. That's me used the 2 presets. What's the third one like? The red one. But it does, the distortion on it is probably the best not valve amp distortion I've heard. Maybe that idea of putting a tube in the out power amp stage is a really good one. Yeah, wait, was a clean, just more clean. I don't know how. I'm just going to play this for 10 minutes. I'll be 3 minutes in. So that one's just called Clean. Obviously I shouldn't be playing this right in front of the amp, but it's handy to get at the knobs. Green version. There's a big dial at the end which is power output, and it kind of goes from, it does say it's called a VT20, but it's like you can put it to from 0 watts to 20 watts, and then it's got like a red line bit that goes up to 30 watts. So I'd imagine it's probably quite loud. It's certainly, I don't think it's the speakers. It's only got one speaker in it because I had to take it to bits to fix that button. The speaker just, I mean, in my professional knowledge, it just looks like a normal speaker. So it doesn't, I think the cabinet, it's like chipboard cabinet, is It's maybe just the modelling thing is very good. I wouldn't know if that was a tube amp or not. As soon as it says Valvetronics on it, you see a million buttons, you know it isn't. But in fact, did Fender not do one of them? I think Fender did one of those. They had a big tube of 12 silver thing that had you could get, it was like a twin reverb or something. You could get that, and you could basically one that looked exactly like a twin reverb, apart from it was all modelling, but it didn't have any presets or anything. It was set up so you operated it exactly the same as a real one. It's just it weighed a quarter as much because it didn't have the big transformers and stuff in it. I don't know if people bought it though. I don't think it was a hell of a lot cheaper than the normal one. Orange. As in the orange light, other clean section. I'm really thinking I should have used a guitar with one pickup in it, rather than having this, which is just totally full. It's actually quite noisy, but I think it's just because I'm right up against the speaker, and it's actually quite loud. And this is just basically, I'm just using the lead's going straight into it, and then there's the mic there, so there's nothing. So what's the next one? Still in clean, I think. We're in Californian clean. That's it. We'll go for the green one. Green being Californian clean. We're thinking Californian Fender. Just up. Distortion it. Very valvey. Obviously that's adjustable. We're turning down the gain. I do actually have reverb on. There's a reverb dial at the end. Well, it'll be digital, but hey, does digital reverb count? Yes. So you can turn it up to stupid, I'd imagine. Room reverb. Well, we're in a room, so. Orange sound. It's not really orange. What they're doing is just like a green LED and a red LED, and they're kind of putting them both on at half time. So it kind of, depending on what angle you're looking at it, it looks green and red and orange. Kind of cheating bastards. What was the last reverb? Hall. It's like one of those controls that like you get on the cubes and stuff like that, where it goes from, so you get like the 3 different reverbs on the one dial, so it goes from like 0 to 10 of spring, and then 0 to 10 of room, and then no room, spring, hall. So I'm going for spring. Not very much of it. Right, I'm just totally skimming through these. What we've got now, we've got a US Blues. That wee button I keep shouting out, orange and green and red, is you've got your 33 different amp sounds. I don't know what 33. It does say 33 amps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Alright, okay. 33 different amp sounds, so it's actually got 11 amps, but there's a 3 variations for each one. I was thinking what it is kind of like C3 Fidget with the bass and the treble and the gains and stuff like that on the VOX VT15 channel, it gives you 3 ideas of what you can do this sort of thing, or you can start here. You know what I mean? It's like, so this is what it sounds like when it's cranked. This is what it sounds like when it's kind of in the middle. This is what it sounds like when it's clean, sort of thing. Just as a wee demo. But there's an awful lot. It's good for sort of subtle, because when that's not clean anymore, when it's not my rat pedal. And I'll be totally honest, it does not sound digital. I think I've just been put off by your Line 60 type things and all that. It does sound, I mean, I was so impressed with the wee Roland Cube. There's actually someone selling the bigger guitar Roland Cube just now. And it's like, that's like a pure 25-year-old design. And I'm really impressed with the jazz chorus sound in it, but the distortions aren't. They're alright, I mean, considering it's a battery amp, they're fine, but they don't sound like that. That does sound like, the distortion on that sounds real. You know, it doesn't just, it's not like an on-off switch, it kind of depends on how hard you hit it. Very valvey responsey. And I'd imagine, because it's that power amp stage thing, has the valve in it, it's maybe that's making it sound valvey, therefore when you're, say how would I do a video on that as well. How would I use it? Because I like obviously having the loop pedal, even though I've not been using it as much recently, but so I want a distortion pedal in front of the loop pedal so I can record clean. So I'd be running it on a sort of clean sound to see how well it would do. I don't see any problem with it though. I've got no issue with digital reverb. A US 2x12. Orange sound. That's like a Fender. What's the deluxe reverb or something I was talking about earlier? Red sound. More bucker sound. Obviously, it's got effects on it, which since I worked out how to turn them off. I didn't notice it had a fuzz pedal. Where's the fuzz pedal? Metal or fuzz last on the dial. Dirty fuzz. Getting a wee bit overloaded with controls, so it's already doing everything I wanted to do. I suppose it'll go up a bit. That was VOX AC15 again. Oh, now it's the VOX AC15. Right now it's the VOX AC30. Quite clean. I need to get the Brian May thing since it's got a VOX AC30 sound on it. That's quite queasy. sorted, we're getting to UK rock. I'm thinking UK rock. By not being Vox, because they're allowed to use Vox AC15. Does Korg not own Vox and Roland? I wonder if that's maybe a recent thing, and maybe the newer one might actually have, like I said, like the Cube's got Jazz Chorus sound on it because they own Jazz Chorus, so they're allowed to model it. Whereas the other one is like pure UK one. It's like pure because you can't just write Marshall. Whereas I wonder, because Vox and Korg owns both of them, I wonder if actually the more modern ones have like Jazz Chorus. But actually, I'll just actually say, because I think I'll have something that sounds like it. Clean California, clean US, clean. Okay, maybe not. So we've got UK rock, UK metal, US high gain, US metal. I'm just going to skip through them. So I'm thinking this should be like a Marshall, I think, for Chumbucker. Red. I like Vox AC15. There's still a few more US metal and more metally ones there, but I don't really play like that. I would just want one that just... So, I mean, it kind of totally passes my first test for all these amps is basically turn it on, kind of put all the knobs at 12 o'clock apart from the volume, and hopefully it'll kind of sound alright as soon as you turn it in, as soon as you plug in. Did that, and it's relatively easy to switch between the things. There's an EQ that I've not been finding myself just going, oh god, how do I get rid of that horrible sound? You know what I mean? It's like, an amp doesn't need to have an EQ for me, but unless it sounds shit, whereas if it just sounds great, that's fine. I kind of like some of the... I actually kind of like some of the much lighter ones. That I'll go a wee bit lower than that. I bet that sounds amazing on a telly. That black telly would sound great in this bit. So I mean, it's a thumbs up, really. Even though I'm not really using it, I'm not using it not as intended, but basically I'm using it for playing in the house like that. And I think that's an awesome sound that I could be writing songs and just practicing and stuff, and it sounds awesome, and that's great. And there's definitely, it's not a case of flicking through. It's a wee bit like the Roland Cube bass as well. It's like when you're flicking through presets or flicking through different amp models, and they're all good. That's a huge difference from when you're sometimes sitting there and it's like you're flicking through all the amp models just trying to get something that isn't pure horrible, whereas they're kind of all good. I suppose it's just a digital chip in it. They just get better and better. I mean, as I was saying, that the wee Cube is amazing at chorus, and it just the distortion just it's not as good as it doesn't do. There you go. You've got clean. Just turn that gain down a wee bit. See what I mean? This guitar, I mean, it might not sound like it, it may not at all, but I can just go, wow, a Telecaster, and play it like a telly, and it sounds totally like a telly. Is it just because it's got a telly headstock? The neck on it's much thinner than a Telecaster. I suppose it's not really like a telly, but just it's amazing that this guitar just seems to be able to just be a telly if you wanted to be. Our telly neck pickup, which I was thinking would be Strat, so will it be? That's a Strat neck pickup. So I mean, I think this is one of those things where technology has come in. There's still a certain element of, you know, like a guitar with all fancy stuff on it now, and into a modern. Well, I think they still make that, and it's basically exactly the same as our 50s and 60s. Nothing's changed. For the high-end purist, you know, people still want a Gibson Les Paul. They still want a Marshall Stack. They want it all valves. You know, it's like, but the technology for particularly small amps, it might not has just jumped. I mean, these kind of came out the same sort of phase for the wee Tiny Terrors, the sort of lunchbox amps where you get like a 1 watt valve amp. You still need a speaker cabinet. You seem to have either that option or just basically better modelling, where it is a modelling amp, yes, but you don't have to be that guy, which I just see that, and it's like, yeah, it's the same as why I'm kind of don't like the effects or chords. You're going in lots of bands and people just have, and every song will just be they spend more time programming the sound for that song than actually learning how to play the song that we're playing. So it's like every song was like pure, oh, number 26 for this one, and you're just like, but you can, I would just treat it much more real than that and just have it on thing. I'll just turn the distortion up for this bit. It does take a foot switch. I don't know what kind of foot switch. I haven't looked at it. I think it maybe just turns on the effects pedals. I don't think it will switch amp model. But it would be more of a set and forget one for me. You know, like just set it to whatever one I like. I'm liking that. I'm going to be messing. I think I'm going to do a wee bit more messing about in that range. See what that using. I've got a couple of lowish distortion-y type pedals to try and get more that clean, but really distorted as well. Obviously I'll get pedals that do it, just never really bothered my arsing about with them. I quite like that, the way it's clean and I think it's just a Fendery sound, to be honest. I'm going to have to get a hold of Jen's orange, because she was like very adamant that it was like, oh, it sounded wonderful, because the orange one is just an amp, so basically it's the same controls as that. You know, you've just got, it's not valve though. It probably has some sort of valvey soundy thing. Well, that's actually got a valve in the power amp. I can't really fault it. It's kind of the same size as my wee Laney. In fact, it's very similar looking to my wee Laney. I think on a purely practical side as well, comparing it to something like my wee Laney, because it's like an all bells and whistles one, but it's not modelling, it's just all tubes. But it's got like the full EQ and the 2 channels and the effects loops, and it's got a master tone, which is really good, and a reverb and all that shit in it. So it's got all that stuff in it, and it's kind of the same sort of size. But because it's a valve amp, it doesn't do the play quietly thing, which I've not even tried this. I'm just going to assume that it does the play really quietly, but it still sounds. So I'll just turn the wattage down. That would be an interesting thought, because that's very quiet. But it still sounds alright. I'm wondering if the wee Black Star, it's battery operated, it's good enough to play lead along with someone playing an acoustic. You know, maybe not clean, you'd have to crank it a little bit. But I think the big advantage of this is this actually works really, really well at that volume. This one has, just because it's probably what, an 8-inch speaker in it, just because it's got a bit of girth to it, I think very quiet volumes, it doesn't give you as much treble when you turn it down too much. You can always boost the treble. Mind you, what I'm suffering from just now is a little bit of which this applies to. It doesn't really matter how good your equipment is and all that stuff and how well you're playing. It's like louder's better. It's just better when you turn it up a notch. So when you turn it down, it's always a bit It's got a tuner that's dead easy to use as well in it, but I think that's just a gimme for any modern amp. It's kind of, as soon as you're up over £100, I don't think it's acceptable for an amp not to have a tuner built in. To be honest, I think guitars, for all that it costs, it's well worth looking at. When you're looking at modern, if you're thinking of getting an acoustic guitar, you get, like, is it Ashton do it, and it's just got a wee tuner built into it. I mean, it must add £2 to the cost of the guitar, but just having a wee battery operated tuner, it's just attached in the guitar, so you're always in tune. What a great thing that would be to have. many options to get an easy video out of that. Quite pleased when I bought that Shine bass. I've showed this off yet, but look, I could actually have 3 guitars on that wall. Isn't that cool? Yeah, I mean, I totally rate it. I think I obviously have a tendency to turn my nose up at modern stuff like that, but I kind of did the same thing with that, just a Gear for Music multi-effects unit. And it was the same thing where it basically, oh god, it's awful, all the swishing and the swishing and all that. And it's just like, if you just actually go into it, spend a couple of minutes working at it and turn everything off in that multi-effects, and it meant I could have like everything off with a wee bit of reverb up here. Oh, and like units get cab simulator, so you choose a 4x12. Oh, rather than just using a preset, just build it from yourself. And it was amazing what it did. Fantastic. And it was like this old cheapy shitey stuff. That's a VOX and it's good. Actually, there was an Undertones video just last week where the Chappers was doing they were doing an A/B test, and it was the best one stays on, and it started off with the modern version of that, which doesn't look, I don't think it looks as good as that. It's kind of like got a line down the middle. It's what's this, a VT20 plus? Yeah, the current one is a VT20X. X, not plus. I don't know how different it is, but it was on in the first one, and he's like, up here, yep, that stays on, and basically that amp just stayed on all the way through, and he went through all the Marshalls and the things. I think he said it was quite old as well. I mean, I don't know how old that is or what the difference is between them, but I think modelling technology just has moved on. I'm too used to, I think, having seen, not saying, Line 6 are fake, but first generation Line 6y sort of approximations, and you're like, yeah, well, it kind of does sort of sound a bit like a Marshall kind of thing, but not very good. Kind of, it's like a not very good Marshall, or not very good Vox, or not very good Fender. Whereas that was sort of cheaper end stuff, but that was probably 20 years ago technology, so the technology's obviously moved along a lot. I'm sure Vox did a thing with new tubes that were meant to be the next thing, which was like it was a vacuum tube, but it was pure tiny, and it ran at low voltages, so you could put them in pedals. Maybe it's just still cheaper to buy. It's a Ruby valve that's in it, by the way. I think Ruby are quite an expensive one. Are they not one of your fancy ones? So it's got a Ruby valve in it. Rock on. And I'll have to do a shootout. I'll have to do one with the Brian May guitar because it's got Vox in it. I need to do a shootout between that and the Orange Crush to see if Jen was right at that was much better than the Orange Crush, because I was playing through the Orange Crush yesterday and I really quite liked it. Catch you later.